how to grow a podcast from 0 to over 1 million listens per year. Well, in this video, you guys are gonna find out. I'm Ben and welcome to Social Genie. We specialize in helping people like you, entrepreneurs, small business owners, large business owners, with improving and developing their social media content and digital marketing strategy. So in this video, I'm going to dive into a particular case study. That firm has actually managed to generate over 20,000 listens per week on their podcast, which equates to over 1 million listens per year. So in this video, I'm going to dive into the top 5 hacks for success if you guys want to create your own podcast. So before we get started, guys, if you're new around here, feel free to join the digital marketing family by hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on. And if you do find any value in this video at all, feel free to give it an early thumbs up. That helps out tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. And with that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so firstly, let me just set the table by clarifying why you should actually start a podcast, because there are some really interesting facts which you guys should be aware of. So firstly, 55% of people have listened to a podcast, and this is according to a US citizen study. I believe the number is probably higher in other parts of the world. And over 37% of those people listen monthly, and over 24% of people listen weekly. Now, these days, people don't tune in at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. to watch their favorite television program like they used to 10 and even 20 years ago. But podcasts still manage to get that repeat audience coming back again and again and again. Now, what I love about podcasts is most social media platforms optimize for reach, whereas podcasts optimize for depth. And you can build a real deep connection with your audience, similar to on YouTube. Now, a few other interesting facts for you guys. 94% of podcasters listen while they are doing other tasks. So they could be in the gym, they could be driving, they could be doing household chores. This means podcasts do really take advantage of this time, which we wouldn't otherwise have. And we cannot spend, let's say, watching television or watching Netflix while you're, let's say, driving in your car. Podcasts are also especially effective at engaging ad avoiders. So we've seen these people, I'm probably one of them myself, an ad comes on, we'll even try and turn away so it doesn't affect us, or avoid it, or skip channels if you're on the television. Whereas podcasts seem to manage to engage these types of people. So how can it be done, and what can you guys do to create a successful podcast? Well, the first hack or tip I have for you guys is to choose a valuable niche. Ideally, this needs to be a niche where you're an authority in that niche, you have expertise, and you can share that expertise with other people, ideally in an entertaining and engaging way. So for example, with the investing podcast, I personally had expertise in the investing arena. I'd read over 600 books on investing. I'd done a lot of investing myself. I taught investing courses. So I was the ideal person to actually create content for the investing podcast. Now, of course, this could be for anything. So for example, we also have a marketing podcast, which you can check out, link below also. Or you could have a gym podcast where you're focusing on nutritional diet plans for people. Now, really, it is about removing your ego from the situation and making it all about the listener. Why should they listen to you, and what do they want to know? Okay, hack number 2 is consistency. So consistency compounds growth. If you consistently create content for your podcast, then you'll see tremendous growth, because this compounds over time as more people come back again and again and again. So ideally, what you want to do is find your point of what's called sustainable consistency. So let's say if you're trying to do a podcast every day, it's probably much too much for most people. So what you want to do is say, okay, once a week, I'm going to create a podcast. You can even schedule podcasts, which is what I like to do. So let's say you spend a whole week creating a real bunch of podcasts and then schedule them out over the month. That can be a great strategy, and I think that actually works a lot better. A platform for scheduling you can use is called Anchor. It's completely for free, and you can schedule across Spotify, Apple Music, and all the podcast platforms. Hack number 3 to grow your podcast channel is to do collaborations with other podcasters. So interestingly enough, 40% of listeners find new podcasts just by searching in the podcast platform. So there's no viral discovery like you get on most social media platforms. So this means in order to get in front of a new audience, you really have to go onto somebody else's podcast. Other ways of actually growing your podcast include word of mouth recommendations, which make up approximately 18% of people who find a new podcast. And people will also ask people on social media. So you can also share your podcast links on social media. Okay, hack number 4 is to focus on quality and engagement. Now, there's an abundance of podcasts available. There's an abundance of content in the world. So really at this time, we now need to focus more on quality and also keeping the viewer engaged. So I'd recommend having a certain quality standard for your podcast and trying to keep that quality up. And here's one more tip, guys. You can also use a variety of vocal tones, sound effects, music in order to keep the listener engaged. And thus the comedy genre is, interestingly enough, the most popular podcast niche according to a study by Statista in 2019. What's interesting about that is comedy seems to connect us all across the world. Even if you look at platforms like TikTok, really it started with funny comedic videos. So consider integrating some comedy elements into your podcast. Hack number 5 is to monetize with direct relationships with brand partners. So this is a really interesting one. So generally, if you're trying to monetize your podcast and make some money off your platform, you'll want to go to an ad provider and then they'll provide you with a very low rate every time your podcast is downloaded. The issue with this is the rates are really low and you can't really control the type of adverts which are on the platform. So I recommend, and this is what we've done for quite a few of our clients, is actually to find out your own brand values and then approach companies which align deeply with those brand values. Now, this is really powerful. It's best for the brand because they're getting somebody who really cares about their product and service to promote it. It's best for you because you'll get a lot higher ad revenue. And it's best for the listener because they'll get a more genuine, valuable piece of advertising content rather than just a really irrelevant piece of content which most people will not actually engage with anyway. Now, some podcasters who use this technique make over $1 million per year, so it is extremely lucrative. Okay, guys, that's my top 5 hacks for growing your podcast. Now, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, wow, that sounds incredible, but I really don't know where to start or how to implement these things, or I just need some help or I want to ask some questions, then feel free to reach out to us, Social Genie. I'll leave our email in the description below. You can reach out to us. We'll contact you and we can hop on a Zoom call or even chat face-to-face if you're in the UK. We work with brands internationally and we can really help to define your digital marketing strategy and put you a step-by-step plan in place to improve and grow your brand. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, feel free to join by hitting that subscribe button, turning that notification bell on. If you did find value, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, helps out tremendously with the algorithm. With that being said, I hope you guys all have a tremendous day and I'll see you in our next video. Keep growing.